Welcome to Heart Riffing, a podcast by Way of the Heart. Here we explore what it means to reconnect with your essence and live from a place of personal freedom. If you're interested in learning more about our courses, mentoring and workshops, feel free to visit wayoftheheart.com.au. We're so glad you're here and we hope you enjoy the episode. Hi, and welcome back to another episode of Heart Riffing, a podcast by Way of the Heart. Bello, we're back.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm
Good to
good.
see you, Jessie.
Yeah, good to see you. We say it as though we don't see each other and talk every day.
Every day, yeah.
Every day.
Yeah, welcome back.
Welcome back to
From 30 seconds ago.
yeah. Welcome back to the debrief that we just did. Today, the topic of conversation is one that I think we've kind of been circling around for a while in some of our recent podcasts. But it'd be good to just talk about it and frame it explicitly.
Yeah.
And this is the idea of following your heart's desire and what it means to actually follow your heart. We talk a lot about what happens when you don't follow your heart, what does it feel like and look like to follow your heart, what are the practicalities, etc., etc. But it might be good to just outline what are we actually talking about when we're saying to follow your heart, and just riff about following your heart's desire.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
So what are we talking about when we say to follow your heart's desire?
Okay, let's do the old coaching process where we say, if we can't say, before we say what it is, let's just say what it's not.
Nice.
So number one, I would say it's not a romantic idea. As soon as you say, follow your heart's desire, it almost sounds like, Mary Poppins is going to come and
just follow your heart.
Yeah.
It'll guide you.
Yeah, Samantha's going to twinkle her nose. That's a Bewitched reference for everyone who's over 50.
I was going to say, I thought it's a new
Twinkle,
character.
twinkle,
We've
twinkle,
got
twinkle,
Carl and now we've got Samantha.
No, it's like Bewitched. She was the witch that twinkled her nose. The funny thing with the nose.
Yeah.
Bink, there it is, Oh, wow, that's the desire of my heart right there. Thank you, Samantha.
Perfect.
Yeah. So if you're under 50, that's completely lost on you. But it's not that. It's not, I don't think we're talking about something romantic. Because then my gut feeling is that if we talk about, what's the desire of your heart, it almost becomes a bit, okay, we're not in kindergarten.
Yeah.
Okay, like we're not kids. There's the world's a serious place. Do you reckon?
Oh, absolutely. Like, this is when Way of the Heart started, and we were playing around with the name and also just sort of telling people, we help people return to their heart. I think if you don't have any context behind the depth of what that means, you look at it and you're like, yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. True. And it just kind of feels lightweight and hopeless. And we're not talking about some kind of wish list, put the tooth under the pillow. We're not talking about the tooth fairy or something light and fluffy. At least I'm not talking about that.
No, absolutely.
And so for me, if we're not talking about that and we say, so what are you talking about? Then I would say that for me, it's living in service to my heart. So moving into the affirmative, what we're not saying, moving into what we are saying, is that my heart actually has an agenda. And we say this in our early courses where we say that your heart is ally. Your heart is an ally. An ally is kind of, the idea of an ally is a ligament, like the ligaments across your knee, are ally to the knee joint, and they hold the knee joint firm. So your heart is ally to essence to the point where your heart is holding you firm to who you truly are. Your and there's heaps of words for it. Your isness, your thisness, your thusness. These were all kind of, they're all very kind of more archaic terms about the way that people in previous wisdom traditions talked about the essence of a person. more recently, true Thomas Merton, true self, be the best version of yourself, your authentic self, all that sort of stuff. So your heart is ally to that. And to that point, your heart lives in service to that, which I think has a bunch of implications. Mainly, it doesn't live in service to something out there. That would be the first big challenge.
Yeah, totally. And I think this naturally leads us into external conditioning that comes in and kind of naturally pulls us away from that inward orientation that we're kind of born with.
Yeah, I think so. And this was this kind of conversation that you and I were having prior to this podcast, where I was just exploring with you this idea of dharma, where dharma means duty, or so in the Buddhist sense, and it's actually it's not Buddhist, it's actually Hindu, but it's both. But the idea of your dharma is like, this is the thing that you are here to do. This is your duty. This is your calling. Within Hinduism, it might have been a role that it might have been that a place that you took within the context of your community, and so automatically that kind of loses, in a way. For me, that loses, and this is why I'm probably not Buddhist or Hindu, is if your dharma was, say, to be a priest or to be a renunciate or to be, something like that, it's almost like, oh yeah, now here's society's created a role and I'm stepping into that. For me, that almost immediately becomes what they call adharmic, as in not my dharma. For us, dharma or duty, the thing that I'm called to serve, is the deepest orientation of my essence. It's like, why is Greg here? It's like, will you, and we do this in Way of the Heart, it's like, well, who is Greg? Or who's Bello? Greg and Bello, the same thing. I actually don't have a split personality. Friends call me Bello, but if you don't know me, it's Greg.
Greg, yeah.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? So like, who is a Jess? Okay, well then that's really important to know who Jess is. Not in the ego version.
Yeah.
But who is Jess? Because your heart wants to serve that.
Yeah, and this is what we do in Way of the Heart. I think the natural question that arises here is, well, how do you get to know that, or how do you connect to that? And that's really the purpose of some of the early courses of Way of the Heart, is to connect you to that place.
Yeah.
So I don't want to give it away. I don't want to give away all the stuff here and now.
Yeah.
But for the purposes of this conversation, how do you sort of ground yourself in your heart's desire if you're not quite sure what it is, and if you have a whole bunch of external factors that tell you that, well, success looks like this, and you should pursue this, or you're interested in this, so do that. Like, how do you differentiate?
Because I don't think, it's a great question, because I don't think that we're playing in the vocational guidance space here. What we're doing when we talk about who you are is we're doing what every wisdom tradition has ever wanted to do. Every wisdom tradition tries to peel back this idea of the false self. And so when they talk about the false self, they're talking about the ego. So you're not your ego. You're not your neediness. You're not your need to be praised by others. You're not your need to be the winner, be the best, get to the top of the class. You're not, which are all very trifling. Ego is a shapeshifter. It's much, ego in its essence is trying to meet fundamental need. And the only problem with it is that it primarily just only exists because of that neediness. It has never found original sufficiency. So if you've never found original enough,ness, your ego goes in search of what can make me feel like I'm enough. And this is very Way of the Heart webinar stuff, is that, well, you started enough, but you learned, or you perceived really quickly that you weren't enough. And so you went in search of something out here, a projection, an ego projection, which becomes a false self. I projected that I'm really cool. I feel like I could make reference to Fonz in the Happy Days, but again, I'm going back to anyone anyone over
all these
under 50 just
old
goes, the
TV
Fonz?
shows.
Who's the Fonz? You know,
It's going to be I Dream of Jeannie
yeah.
next.
yeah. Yeah. So it's that the ego goes in search of becoming, you know, of a persona that I can become in order to be cool,
Mhm.
you know. And isn't it interesting when, you know, just to ground this a little bit, that you have megastars like Justin Bieber that sort of became something really young, and now he's writing songs going, I was like 17, a multi-millionaire, my face everywhere, and I was so lonely.
Yeah, right.
He's written that song "Lonely," and when he sings it, there's a clip of Taylor Swift listening to him sing it and kind of like going, "Oh, I could relate to that. I was so lonely too."
Yeah.
And you go, dude, you know, arguably you cats are some of the most successful and or prolific youth
Mhm.
that have ever walked the planet. And yet whatever you projected out there, the truth of it was you were a deeply lonely
Mhm.
individual, and
Mhm.
that projection
Mhm.
that everyone saw and thought, I just want to get a bit of that.
Yeah.
You were just going, that has nothing to do with me.
Right. And that's the cause of the loneliness, right? Because you're doing something that has nothing to do with you, so you're
Yeah.
estranged from yourself.
Yeah, so I have become something, but the something that I've become
Yes.
is unrelated to who I really am.
Yeah.
And there's still no affirmation of who I really am.
I think I can totally how much do I want to say?
A lot. Come on.
I think I can relate to this in a couple ways. If I was to sort of broad strokes talk about this, I would say that there have been times in my life where I've ticked all the boxes and then felt lonely because no one knew who I was. And I think that that's because I was still learning who I was as well. But if I was to get like really in the nitty gritty of how this has sort of taken shape in my older life, processing all
You're
this.
so old.
I'm so old now.
Yeah. You poor old lady.
I know, right? Oh, my hip.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Shut up.
I think that there was, I think people at my school had a 15-year school reunion
Yeah.
a while ago, recently, actually, a couple of months ago. And I was debating whether to go or not. And school was terrible for me.
Yeah.
You know this if you're listening.
I do.
School was not my happy place.
No.
And I think that I was debating, do I go, do I not go? I don't really want to see these people, but also part of me wanted to go because I know who I am now.
Yeah.
And it's like, now I can rock up as me. And the thing that you rejected back when we were kids and the
Yeah.
thing that you like bullied and teased,
Yeah.
well, that wasn't me anyway. So
Yeah.
if I show up and you reject me now, I actually don't care because I'm grounded in who I am. And I ultimately obviously decided that like, I don't need your affirmation.
Yeah.
which is good
Yeah.
that 30-something-year-old me doesn't need the affirmation of
Well, it's a
my,
big
my
hurdle,
school
right?
fees, but
Big hurdle.
yeah, I think it is a big hurdle, but you know, back to the point of like, I think that, and particularly when you're growing up or when you're just trying to figure out what your heart's desire is, it's easy to take on external roles, or it's easy to take on ideas of what fulfillment is going to look like,
Yeah.
and then not feel connected to that
Yeah.
at all, and then wonder why you're not connected to
Yeah,
that.
completely.
And it's only the ground. I mean, for me, it's only being able to ground in who I am that I was able to sort of fulfill that, and then the heart's
Move.
desire became
Well,
more
it's
clear.
interesting when you talk about that, and I think it's a kind of not to trivialize your story, but it's an every person story.
Oh yeah,
Right.
that's why I bring it up.
Yeah, and so as an every person story, maybe one of the interesting ways to peel that open too, and to get to what we're saying is that a dynamic which is that dynamic of, you know, creating this persona, this person, this personality for approval and or to fit in and belong? Is that something that is generated externally, or is it something like does just engaging in external, like engaging in life and work and communities of people, does the power to conform exist out there? Like Like the power or does the desire to fit in exist out there, or does it exist in me?
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like, is the pressure at school, to use your example, is the pressure at school coming from school? You don't fit in, so therefore they bullied you, so therefore you go, oh, well, who do I have to be to fit in?
Mm.
And then you start to comply,
Mhm.
right? We just classically call that peer pressure.
Mm.
Or is there something inside of you that just goes, yeah, you can try and shapeshift to fit in there, but there's a part of you that just goes, if you do that, you've completely betrayed yourself.
Mm.
And this is what I mean by heart's desire. Because it's funny because it seems to me that there's some people who don't have this existential tension.
Yeah.
Have you met those people?
Yeah, I wonder what that's like.
It's like incredible, you know.
Seems so restful.
It's like they go to school and they just love it, and they go to university or they go outside of school and do something else, and it's just amazing. Then they get the dream job, and that was amazing. And now they're in retirement, and what are you doing? I'm having an amazing time. You just go, oh, wow, it's amazing. I hate you. You know, can you please tee off before me on the golf course, because I want to hit my golf ball at you at 1,000,000 miles an hour. You know, like, I don't play golf.
My heart's desire right now.
Please hop on the wave in front of me. I'm going to flick the board at you. You know, this is like, you malevolent human, Greg. You know, I'm not sure what I'm saying anymore, other than the 7 guys I have in my mind that I want to. I want to go and let the tyres of their car down.
It's just become a venting episode.
Put more curry sauce in there, chili or something. No, I think it's maybe just to bring it back. It's I think most people do feel some version of needing to become, but whatever that needing to become is. Whatever that sense of, am I enough? It always is a movement away from what is. And if there are people out there who just have been able to sit in who they are, and that's been nurtured, and the world that they've lived in has been deeply affirming of that, well, good for them, really, because that's fantastic. I mean, if you learn to live in your heart from 3 years on, good for you. I probably don't think there's many people like that.
Yeah.
I probably think that we've all lent into moments where we just go, I'm doing something, I'm presenting something that isn't really who I am.
Yeah.
We always talk about this as playing a role. The only time this becomes interesting is when we come back to this whole idea of serving the desire of your heart. The desire of your heart is allied to who you are. It's not allied to a projection.
So I guess, can we ground this in an example? Because I feel like we could talk theoretically about it, but...
Yeah. So when you ground it in, yes, we definitely can. When you ground this in a normal example, I'd often sit with someone and I'd be talking to them, and they would have... It's either, they would have a life choice. And life choice is it's this or it's this, or it could be this and 3 or 4 other things, right? And then they go, so what is it, right? Like, so what do I, so and what happens in their mind is their mind goes through and starts doing the comparison and logic exercise, the pros and cons of each, which seems like a very rational thing to do, right? But the heart doesn't do that.
Yeah, okay.
That's the whole point in that, is the heart doesn't do that. The heart doesn't look at the pros and cons of a situation. The heart just goes, what is essence? What is essence? And how does essence want to express itself? The classic example of this was, when I was much, much younger, I was part of a community of people, and, like a significant community of people, a lot of people that I'd journeyed with, that Angela and I had journeyed with for over 10 years, and we all lived in community, and, there were some difficulties with it, and I was a leader in that community, and I was very young and inexperienced, and so myself and the other leaders would make a lot of mistakes in terms of the way we led, or all sorts of different things like that. So there was some complexity in it, but it got to a point where it was like you either double down and you keep doing this journey with these people, and it became really apparent that there was something inside of me saying, "This isn't it."
Mm-hmm.
Like I just knew in my heart, I was like, I can't keep doing this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not. This isn't. And I didn't have a rational idea about why. Like it wasn't like it. When you're a leader in a community of X number of people, and it's all moving forward, and despite the challenges, you go, well, it's a good place to stay. Like, why wouldn't you just keep doing that? And yet there was something in me there's something in my heart that just went, hey, you gotta pivot here. And then when I checked in with Ange, she said, yeah, we've got to pivot.
Mm-hmm.
Or we've got to move. And then so the options came up, and the options were like, there was this tiny little church in a small New South Wales mid-north coast country town, 15 people. I was like, there's no income. There's no, like, this is not a job opportunity, This is not a pivot opportunity. And yet it was like, as soon as the offer came up, it was like, oh yeah, we've got to do that.
It just resonated? Just
my heart just goes, yeah, we've got to do that.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because then I went and spoke to 3 other senior men, like guys who were a lot older, right? And all 3 of them went, yeah, this feels completely right for you. You got to go and do it. And arguably that was a pivot moment in Angela's and my life where we moved away from a community of people, away from whatever that was, and into another. And it was interesting. As soon as we got to that place, I grew up.
Really?
Yeah, I think week 3 of being there, there was week 3 of taking over the church, there was 2 deaths.
Wow.
Yeah, tragic. One, a tractor rolled on an old guy and he got pinned under the tractor, and another one was a tragic death that ended in a coronial inquest. So a very suspicious death. And all of a sudden I went from being part of, semi-extended youth group, come sort of, very young, vibrant community in the city, to the realities of country life where whatever happens in the small country town impacts everyone. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden it was like I was doing a funeral in someone's back paddock for a girl that I'd never met, but whose parents went to our church. Mm-hmm. And it was like, oh, I'm in the deep end now. Mm-hmm. And it felt like following my heart threw me into the deep end of not this lovely kind of thing, but into the deep end of genuine, what it meant to be part of a community.
I think this kind of naturally leads to so you followed your heart, you followed your heart's desire. It threw you into the deep end, and that took you, or it enabled you to grow in the way that you needed to grow.
Yeah.
And when you do follow your heart, it's not without challenge, as in like it's scary to lean into that, and then it does take you to places that you are going to have to grow.
Yeah.
But that's all kind of part of the process, right?
Yeah. Yeah, because we often, I think that's such a good observation. I mean, you'd have examples of that in your own life, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Like Way of the Heart.
Yeah, like taking on the job at Way of the Heart. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, that's absolutely an example. Even when I go back before Way of the Heart, going into getting a master's in teaching, I never wanted to be. I knew I didn't want to be a teacher, but I knew that that's also what I had to do. Like I had to go and get that qualification. It just felt right, even though it logically didn't make any sense.
Yeah. I remember examples of like when you were living in North Sydney and you were doing a bunch of different stuff, and you just go, not much of this is working.
Yeah.
But there's this salsa community over here.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And then they're not an option anymore.
Yeah.
Like where does your heart resonate the most?
Yeah, with the salsa community.
With the salsa crew.
Yeah. That's true.
You just go, they're not negotiable.
Yeah.
Like, I got to go and hang out with the salsa crew.
Yeah.
And, and everyone will go, oh, you love dancing. And you go, yeah. But it's like, no, these people have my heart.
Yeah, totally.
These people get me. Like, I can be me here,
Yeah.
right? You know, like, I don't have to wear a mask.
Mm-hmm. So my question to you is, when you were thrown in the deep end and you're standing in the paddock and you're giving the funeral, whatever it is, it's hard, right? It's really challenging, and it's forcing you to grow, I guess.
Yeah.
But did you still have the sense in your heart that it was the right thing? Or were you like, oh, I think
it was a movement towards who I really was. I don't think that I don't think in hindsight, and this is hard to say, right? Should I have ever been playing the role of pastor? It was the only role you could play back when I was younger. You know, like, the opportunity to be Bhagwan Rajneeshi was there, but it seemed like a very, very big jump. Yeah. You know, you could have been a Hare Krishna, you know, but it just was hard to get clothes in orange. You know, like, do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I mean, it was a step in the right direction. It was a step towards inner alignment. You know, was it the final step towards inner alignment? No, because ultimately I had to throw the role of being the pastor. Totally. Because that's that's just another layer. So I came back into a truer version of who. I came back closer to what my heart wanted to serve. Yeah. But I was still playing the role of pastor. But I shouldn't have been playing that role either.
Actually, I mean, I love what you're saying about a step towards inner alignment, because this is something that's worth sort of calling out, is that your heart isn't attached to any form at all.
None.
And so every step that you take to following your heart's desire, you're getting more and more close to alignment, right?
Yeah.
Regardless of the form.
Yeah, I think it's proximal is what we're saying. Is like, you're either moving closer to who you are or you're moving away from who you are. The ego, the false self, almost creates this vehicle that drags you away. And all the wisdom traditions say, don't get on that vehicle. Don't play the false self. Don't play the projection game. All the wisdom traditions say, do anything you possibly can to serve your heart's desire or to serve your essence by following your heart, you know. And I think the other complexity in that is that your brain is always playing a different game as well.
Can you talk more about that?
I just don't think, I think, like we said earlier on, your brain is always going, this is reasonable, that's not reasonable, this is a good idea, that's profitable, that's not profitable. We can't do this, we can't do that. Have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You know, so the mind is running through, you know, the doability of it all, and coming up with all sorts of conclusions and observations, and many of them will be logical and reasonable, and you'll often find that the heart is utterly unreasonable.
Totally. And I mean, we've done an episode on this very, very recently. So if you haven't watched that one, go have a look at that one. But yeah.
Then when you set that up, you know, you think about when we're talking about living your heart's desire, you set that up and you go, okay, I've got a bunch of options before me. Which one do I do? And your heart just goes, oh no, you actually don't have a bunch of options.
Oh.
You actually don't.
Yeah.
It has to be that one. And I think that's the implication. And if you live in service to your heart, which we're saying, you know, follow your heart's desire, then you go, yeah, it has to be that. What gets you to, what moves you in that direction? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Thoughts?
None.
I'm blank.
I'm sitting here like, question. But I don't, like, I just agree with you. Like, I don't.
That's terrible. How awful. So I had a conversation with someone the other day just to tease this out. And I said, so what's your heart's desire? And they said straight away, to travel.
Yeah, right.
And then if you look at that individual, you go, they love adventure.
Mm-hmm.
Like they thrive on adventure. They thrive on seeing things. Like their whole life, the thing that has continually given them more life than anything else is exploring new cities, exploring new places, trying new foods, etc., etc., etc. Now, you can draw whatever kind of conclusion you want about that. Well, we just can't all spend our life, running around the world having adventures. Well, what if your heart says that that's what it wants you to do?
Yeah. But then you'll find a way to do it, right?
Well, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is like, and I think this is the pushback that we get all of the time when people go, oh, I think that my heart wants to do this, but but I can't because da 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 da. And it's like, but you can, and there's no other way
Yeah, completely.
to live without actually sort of consistently denying yourself.
Yeah, self-betrayal. Well, we've had this. You're right. We've had this conversation before. But the short reality is the heart doesn't. The mind comes up with that objection. The heart doesn't come up with that objection.
Mm-hmm.
The thinking mind, the rational mind, that is weighing the concrete options in front of it and or projecting about what can do and it can't do. It's the thing that's saying yes or no from a logistical perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Your heart doesn't do that. Your heart just goes, okay. It's a bit like, again, I go back to nature. You're the fledgling eagle and you're standing in your nest because mum and dad have given birth to you 2,000 meters in the air. And your first step looks down and goes, holy smokes.
Yeah.
And there's a thing in you going, you've got to jump, and your mind's going like,
yeah.
What?
Yeah.
And it's like, and instinctively it either does that or it dies in the nest.
Mm-hmm.
Going, I think I'm actually a yak. I'm not an eagle. I should be down there on the grass.
Yeah.
It's like, no, dude, you have to do this. There's no, because we say this, essence won't negotiate.
Yeah.
Essence is as essence must be.
So I guess is for people listening, and if you've been listening to this conversation, I'm sure that at some point, if you really sat with yourself in stillness, you would have an inkling of what your heart's desire is. I mean, if you're still listening at this point and you've been with us for a while, you'll have some sense of grounding in that. I guess what encouragement can we give to people who are going, I know what my heart's desire is, or I think I know, and I want to step out. I just don't know how.
Right.
Because I think we spend a lot of time talking about what happens if you don't, and the discomfort and the da-da-da-da-da. But is there a tip or a word of encouragement?
Well, I think this whole podcast is.
Okay.
This whole podcast is, the reality is your heart won't be giving you 10 options. It just gives you one.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking to a person the other day, and they are extremely successful, top of class in terms of everything that they do, demanded literally around the world, and because they're demanded around the world, multiple opportunities around the world, overseas, in America, in Canada, and all over the place, highly in demand human being and valued for the contribution that they can bring. And we're talking the other day and I go what, if you lived in service to your heart, what do you want to do? I just want to be close to my family. Okay. Well, but you've got this opportunity here on the other side of the world, and you've got this opportunity over there, and you've got any number of opportunities. So, no, but I just want to be here with my family.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be more successful over on the other side of the world.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be here.
Mm-hmm.
You go, okay, well then I guess you better just get busy being here, because that's what it looks like. So really, opportunity presents 7 or 8 different options. heart presents one. No, it's this. You know, I felt like this a lot when I felt like this a lot when I left corporate for, almost for the last time, any form of corporate consultancy. And it came to an end, and I just knew that I would spend, and I still know to this day, and I still wrestle with this. I will spend the vast majority of the rest of my life as a contemplative, i.e., hours at a time on my own.
Mm.
You know,
Why do you still wrestle with it?
because there's a part of me that goes, that's scary.
Mm.
That it's scary
Mhm.
to, because I would have to develop a level of self-sufficiency
Mm.
where I meet those needs of connection, significance, life meaning. I need to source those from myself, not from transposing that onto someone else, not from going into another situation where, people go, love your contribution, dude. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I think all of this is a practical thing.
Yeah, okay.
All of this is sort of saying heart kind of just, my heart calls me to the contemplative life, to a meditative life, to the life of a writer.
Yeah.
And there's not a whole lot of options around that.
Totally. I think too, like something that can help in this process is developing a practice. And by practice, I don't mean a prescriptive thing that you force yourself to lock in and do,
Yeah.
but developing a practice where you are finding time to return to who you are, or you're finding time to ground yourself,
Yeah.
to silence external voices, and to just sit for however long in who you are. And it's different for everyone. Like,
Yeah.
could be writing or reading or being in nature. For me, it's dance or some type of movement.
Yeah.
But I think developing that practice is really, really helpful as you continue to follow your heart's desire or where your heart's leading
Yeah,
you.
for sure.
Yeah.
And I think following your heart's desire is a practice.
Mm.
It's sitting in whatever grounds you and just going, no, this is a bellow. Being a contemplative is like, this is the game. This is why you were put here on the planet.
Mhm.
Like, this is who you are. And what becomes challenging in that is doing the weeding, of all the, and this is what I talk about with, manifestation, doing the weeding that pulls out all the weeds that are trying to choke this essential being with, oh, well, that's not big enough. That's not good enough. That's not going to work. Filtering out voices that go, well, what about this? What about that? How are you going to do this? How are you going to do that? And they're not just practical questions. They're often questions of, here's the thing, they're questions of worth.
Mm.
If you do that thing on your heart, there's almost this perception that, like, not just will other people value it, but will you?
Mm.
Will you feel like that's a life well spent? So if you spend the next 10 years building Way of the Heart, irrespective of whatever happens to it, will you get to the end of those 10 years and go, that was a decade of my life that was awesome?
Yeah. Chicha.
Okay. She says at the front end.
Yeah, right. Ah, 2 years in.
2 years in.
Technically.
Yeah, 2 years in. But it's a good question, right?
It's true. It's a great question.
It's the only question that really matters.
This is the we've affectionately previously called it the front porch question.
Yeah,
right?
beautiful. Yeah.
Which we haven't talked about yet in Way of the Heart.
No.
But when you're sitting on your front porch when you're old,
And you're 80.
yeah, and you're 80 and
Yeah.
you look back, will I look back at this and go, hey, that was 10 years well spent? Or will I go, gosh, I wish I had just,
Yes.
grown vegetables you know?
Yeah. Imagine if that was your calling. It's like, I just want you to go to the country and I want you to live an alternate life and live off grid and just grow your own food. And you go, I was like, who's that going to serve?
Yeah.
No one.
Does it have?
Well, no, that's exactly right. And when I'm talking to different people and reflecting on this, I go, there is some crustacean at the bottom of the Mariana Trench. I'm never going to see it.
Yeah.
No one's getting down there.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just Carl the crustacean at the bottom of the Mariana Trench having a party with Edna, the crustacean, the floppy algae, and it's like, and you just go, what are you guys doing?
Claws up to
The
Carl,
hell is
Carl
this?
and Edna.
There's no significance to what you're doing. You've made no contribution.
Yeah, but they're being...
And they're just going like, oh, sorry, I forgot that I had to run for government, I didn't know there was elections down here. I will be mayor.
Mayor of the crustaceans.
It's random.
Mayor of the crustaceans.
Yeah.
And the Night King.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it?
Yeah. But I mean, and I think that kind of circles back beautifully to the ego thing, is that this, when you're deciding whether to follow your heart or not, your ego goes, oh, well, what worth is that going to be?
100%.
What's that going to bring? What value is that going to bring?
Yeah.
How can you kind of speak with pride about that?
Yeah.
So it's this weird there's this weird back and forth, this weird internal back and forth all the time.
Yeah, there is. And there's certain people that I've looked at historically, and I don't know them, so I'm projecting, It's good to have projections, whether they're right or wrong. I look at Neil Young and I look at Joni Mitchell, who are two heroes of my kind of life. They just don't seem to care.
Right.
Like Joni Mitchell, for example, is like, she wrote amazing music. And then she pivoted after probably her best album into this kind of jazz vibe, And you go, I like the early stuff. She didn't care. She didn't even identify as a musician. She identified as a painter, as an artist.
Yeah.
But I think the whole thing was she just knew she was an artisan.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you talk to Joni Mitchell tomorrow and she says, Bella's full of shit, I felt like I was a businesswoman. I stand corrected.
Yeah. And thanks for listening, Joni.
But from a distance of a bazillion miles away looking at her life, she looks like she just embodied the artisan thing. And the artisan thing just pivoted around the art, around the internal energy that was saying, I want to express myself in paint today. I want to express myself in song today. I want to express myself in releasing a jazz album or doing a concert. And, and it was just this. And what I like about that was just this freedom to go, it's this.
Mm.
It's this thing expressing this.
Mm-hmm.
It's not this thing going, how do I fit into that over there? How do I leverage? I've got all these needs. I've got this desire, and it's like, and how do I get it to fit into this thing? And I think that's what the heart's doing. The heart's saying, this thing wants to express itself. This is when we talk about heart as agent. This thing wants to express itself.
Mm-hmm.
It wants to have a voice. Heart as advocate. It wants to speak. It wants to express. It wants to engage the world around it on its own terms. But most of the time we're negotiating the terms. We feel like we create this persona. We create this false self that says, well, you can only negotiate the external world on these fake terms, which, going back to the original, becomes kind of like a fake dharma. You're doing your duty, you're fitting in, you're playing your role. That's not your dharma. That's not your game. That's not your duty. You're not fulfilling your duty. Yeah.
So I guess, to close, what can we... I don't know, what is something that we can leave people in and around following your heart or following your heart's desire?
Well, I think let's just make the practice this podcast where the practice is not, go and sit under a tree, close your eyes, feel the grass beneath your feet. Do that if you want, right? Or go and buy an ice cream. I don't care. Whatever it is, look at your situation, look at your life context, and just go, there's only a very limited number of options that fit the aperture of who I know I am.
Mm-hmm.
It's not 50 things.
Mm-hmm.
It's one thing. It's just this and this. And I do that. It's just be with my family. Just move to the country. Step out of this. Let that go. It's just do the hard work, Bello, of being true to being a contemplative. Yeah, you're going to spend a lot of time on your own. Yeah. Yeah. Or even say with Way of the Heart, for me, it's like, yeah, let Jess run the company. You don't run it. You don't go to the meetings and sit there and be quiet because you don't know what's going on. She does. What's happening here? I don't know. I was thinking about Dharma and Friedrich Nietzsche and Dostoevsky's relationship. It's like, is that relevant at the business meeting? It's like, not so much, Bello. Just, can you go get the coffees, please? Yes, okay, great. Then I'm the coffee boy in that context.
Yeah.
Get used to being the coffee boy. There's not that many options when you hold true to serving your heart's essence. It's not going to be 10 things. It's going to be this thing. Then do the hard work of going, if it's this thing, then be true to this thing. It's holding beads. If you don't have a pair of beads, what's the matter with you?
That's it.
Well,
Moral of this lesson, go buy some beads.
two kinesthetically needy humans sitting here on a couch flicking beads.
Absolutely.
You guys need therapy. We do.
Oh my God.
All right.
Perfect.
So make that the practice.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you in the next episode. Thank you for listening to Heart Riffing. If today's conversation resonated, you can find more of our work, including courses, mentoring, and workshops, at www.wayoftheheart.com.au or on our Instagram, Way of the Heart Official. We'd love to hear your thoughts, reflections, or questions, so please always feel free to message or comment. We look forward to seeing you next time.